In today's Leeds news, centre-back linked, Llorente to return, Leeds keen on McAtee, and officials set for Wembley. Hey folks, Jer here on Thursday morning, the 23rd of May with your Leeds United news. We're nearly there, getting close to the game of the weekend. There's some bonus content floating around this week. Everyone's very busy doing bits and pieces. If you're feeling the playoff vibe, there's lots to watch. We did a stream last night with Andrea Russo from Italy, looking ahead to the game and looking back on the season, which is available on the channel. You can check that out as a live stream if you want to do that. And also later on today, I did an interview with Adam Pope, and I will upload that later on today if you want to have a check that out as well. Adam's thoughts on going into the final and on where Leeds have been this season. So short interview, you can check that out later on today as well on the channel. But cracking on today with the news, there's a little bit floating around. There's some incomings, and I keep saying this, I think Leeds are operating on two very different lists right now, but they have to plan for all eventualities. You've got a championship level player list and a Premier League player list, and they have to operate on both of them. Whatever happens on Sunday and whatever division Leeds are in, they can move on stuff quickly. They'll want to get targets in quickly. And the first one that has been linked with a move to Leeds today is a centre-back. And as we know, Leeds will need centre-back reinforcements coming into next season, with Liam Cooper moving on, Charlie Creswell likely to move on as well. The Pascal Struck's injuries issues, as well as Leeds wanting to push Ethan Ampadu back up into midfield, and the question marks around what Joe Rodon's future looks like at the club. Leeds will need reinforcements. Daniel Farke has also talked about wanting to add more dominance and height to this side. Well, according now to Florentin Plettenberg from Sky Sports in Germany, Leeds are interested in Genk centre-back Jordan Torunarigha. The centre-back has had a fantastic season at Genk this season in Belgium, and the full tweet from Plettenberg reads as the following: 1 year left on his contract after top season for the 26-year-old centre-back from Genk. Transfer in the summer possible with price valuation of 2 to 3 million euro. Stuttgart were interested in the new Nigerian international in the summer to replace Zagadou with injury. Keen on him now are Hoffenheim and Leeds United, one to watch. He's had a very good season. He's rated very highly. 26 years of age is a good age as well. And a fee of between 2 to 2.5 million euro. You're looking at 1.8 to 3 million pounds, roughly, depending on the scales here. But a very affordable player and rated very highly. One of his former teammates, Gift Orban, labelled Torunarigha as outstanding and one of the best that he had played with. So there is some pedigree there as well. But who is Jordan Torunarigha? Well, he's a centre-back, 26 years of age, 6'3" in height. Has scored 4 goals in 59 appearances for Genk. He played at every age group or underage for Germany, all the way from under 16s up to under 21s, and then into the German Olympic squad. Then he switched his international allegiances to Nigeria, where he has 1 cap for the Nigerian senior national side. He played for Hertha Berlin, as I said, prior to joining Genk, and came through their ranks there as well. Known for being a very good ball carrier and good passer of the ball, very good in the air as well, and dominant. All of that plays into how Daniel Farke likes to play football, and would be a kind of player you would see fitting into Leeds system quite well. He has played in the Europa Conference League as well, and is a Belgian Cup winner. So there is a little bit of pedigree there with this guy. He's a good age, 26, 27 next season. Not too old. You get a 3-4 year contract out of that player if you can get him. Very affordable in the price range as well. No other major clubs linked with him just now. So you'd hope that the Leeds United scouting system behind the ranks, this new grouping of people that Leeds have put into the scouting and recruitment department, is starting to now get these other players lined up that not everybody else is looking at. But an interesting one, and worth to keep an eye on. If Plettenberg says one to watch, it's one to watch. Although we likely have a story out next week saying there was nothing in this and it's been binned. We'll see. Moving on to players' futures who look like they may be coming back towards Leeds United, and in a surprise move, let's talk about Diego Llorente. We spoke last week about the future of the loan players and which players were looking like they were coming back to Leeds. We've seen news in the last week that Everton now want to take Jack Harrison on loan again next season, but the future of Diego Llorente seemed to have been one that had been ironed out and boxed off pretty easily. We all assumed for 90% of this season that Roma would make his loan move a permanent move after renegotiating his transfer value from the £18 million option to buy last season to a £4.5 million option to buy this season. He was used regular by Jose Mourinho as well for most of this season, less so by Daniel De Rossi, with Daniel De Rossi labelled him as tremendous after their game against Fiorentina this season. Now, according to Tutto Mercato Web in Italy, they claim that Roma probably won't renew Diego Llorente's stay in Italy. Tutto McAtee web say that Roma are trying to reduce their current wage bill and streamline their squad as they get ready for next season, which means that they're likely not interested in keeping Llorente on next season. Part of the loan deal with Leeds United means that Roma do pay 100% of Diego Llorente's wages, which is believed to be £2.3 million per season. It might benefit Leeds if he does come back, if there is still interest in the player from abroad. There was interest from PSG in January, who were keen to pay the £18 million. That was the price that was put on his head at that stage. It'd be interesting to see if that interest is still floating around and if people are still interested in the player. If that is the case, bringing him back and avoiding the £4.3 million sale and then offloading him for slightly more could end up benefiting Leeds in the longer term, which would be a good one to see. But a very interesting situation, considering a lot of talk this year was about bringing them buying Llorente for 4.3 and then flipping him essentially onto another club for a profit immediately. So it's a strange one unless they don't believe that they'll get the money for him. But we did hear yesterday that Roma are not looking at bringing in huge amounts of money just yet. They're not desperate for cash, but they're definitely tightening the belt a little bit. But we've talked again this season about the lack of money that's in Italy, although after success in the Europa League last night and with 6 teams in the Champions League next year for Italy, that could be changing slightly. Anyway, we move on to the second last story of today, and this one's about another potential incoming. And according to Manchester City transfer expert at City Extra, Leeds are said to be one of several clubs interested in Manchester City's midfielder James McAtee. McAtee was on loan at Sheffield United for the past 2 seasons, helping them get promoted to the Premier League, and then unfortunately being part of the relegated side this season. A fee of around £20 million is believed to be enough to get the player should Leeds decide to go for him. Daniel Farke has talked this year a lot about adding more goals from midfield, and that's definitely something that James McAtee would have in his locker. He has 12 goals in his past 2 seasons with Sheffield United. And if you're a Premier League fantasy football player, he's been a steady source of points all season, so he's not had a bad year. He'd be an interesting player for Leeds to bring in, one that Leeds like. Leeds will need to add more options in midfield next season as well. If you do get promoted, to be a higher caliber player probably needed in there as well, and definitely more options needed off the bench, because when we've been without Ilya Groove this year or Glenn Kamara, we've looked pretty tight in that midfield area. Daniel Farke is still not necessarily trusting all the options he has on the bench just yet. Slightly more than before, but not completely yet. So getting more players in that will be of a higher caliber that Farke can use on a regular basis and rotate the squad around a bit more than we've seen this year will be useful for Leeds to have. And then moving on to the final story today, and the officials and VAR have been announced for Wembley. Leeds and Southampton will have to tolerate at a minimum of 90 minutes of VAR for the first time this season after enjoying what has been an interruption-free season with the lack of VAR. Yes, there have been some situations that have gone against us this year because of VAR, but then Pat Bamford did score with his elbow and Willie Gnonto was offside against Middlesbrough. It swings around the bouts, but I would much rather have the football we've seen this year without VAR and the ability to celebrate a goal as and when it goes in, as opposed to having to stand around for 15 minutes while someone draws a line across the pitch. Well, unfortunately, we're going to have to deal with it for the 90 minutes at a minimum, as it will be used in the playoff final. The referees have also been announced, and the EFL have confirmed the match officials, and James Brooks will be the man in the middle for the game. He's refereed 22 times in the Premier League this season. He's refereed in both cups as well as in the Championship as well this season, and has refed in the Europa League and the Conference League qualifiers earlier on this season. In some slightly good news, I suppose, the VAR for the game will be Jared Gillett. You might remember Jared Gillett from the second leg against Norwich, which I thought he was probably the best referee we've had all season. Went unnoticed for most of the game, which is what you want to see from a referee. But Jared Gillett will be the VAR. He's an Australian referee, came over from the Australian League last year. Very highly thought of, gets a lot of praise as far as referees get praise, does get a lot of praise. And he was the referee for the second leg against Norwich. He will be on VAR duties for the game as well. As I said, we'll have an interview with Adam Pope up slightly later on today. You can check that out again if you want to. And I'll be back tomorrow morning for the final news video of the week. And we will have our match day preview with Andrew Stats Dalton tomorrow evening from 7 o'clock live tomorrow evening, Friday evening. Yeah, and then Saturday, nothing, and then Sunday, game. So, folks, have a great rest of your day, and I'll be back tomorrow morning for more Leeds news. I will talk to you then. See ya. Bye.